All right, everybody, it's UFC 324 review with the Combatcast. Also, UFC 325 preview because these guys are going back-to-back this week. Chevy, good to see you, brother. It's snowing out here in the Northeast. What do we got coming up?
February 7th, UFC Fight Night, Bautista versus Oliveira, 9 p.m. from the Apex. We're back in the Apex with two guys most casuals have never heard of. And then February 14th, Valentine's Day here in the States, so no fights. You know, be with your loved ones. We'll come up with something for you guys.
Valentine's Day Massacre or something.
Yeah. And then February 21st, UFC Fight Night, Strickland versus Hernandez. That's 8 p.m. from Houston. You know, if the world hasn't, or the U.S. hasn't devolved into a civil war by then, we'll see.
Yeah, that's a good matchup, though. I mean, I'm interested in that matchup, high level.
Lots of cardio in that fight, for sure.
Yeah. Let's get right to it, man. We're going to have some stuff for Patreon people at the end, too, by the way. We'll be talking some Zuffa boxing, because that happened this weekend. UFC 324. And before we get to the fights, I just want to say that it was great starting earlier. I had a long day going into this, too, so I was kind of tired anyway. I heard some critique of the pacing, that they're just going to add more junk and everything like that. I could see the argument, but being that it was the first show on Paramount, I kind of expected that. Like, you know, it took like a half hour, I think, to get the first fight started. But
they also started late because they canceled the fight, which we can talk about.
Right. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But I mean, overall, I just thought, I think we ended at 12:30. Was when the card now ended, and I thought, you know, honestly, that's not a bad night. That's the main event going all 5 rounds. So if that's as long as it gets, and some of these shows are going to end a little earlier when we have, you know, more finishes, cool. But yeah, we also had some controversy. There was a fight pulled.
Yeah, Michael Johnson versus Alexander Hernandez got pulled. So Alexander Hernandez apparently had an injury, and then it was leaked from his camp, and then there was some strange betting that was happening, obviously betting against Alex because he's injured. So, you know, after what happened before, the UFC just decided, let's just pull the fight. Seems to me like you could just cancel all the betting on that particular fight, like and have the fight, but I guess you also don't want a guy who's injured fighting. But
yeah, it's interesting.
He's an adult and can make the decision himself. He probably needs the money. Now he's not getting paid.
If it's like a criminal mentality, like, you know what I mean? Like, you had that fight, that controversy a couple months ago. So you would think if there's anything going on, whether it's, you know, the fighter or there's someone in the camp, you think you'd be like, fuck this, I'm out. But you always hear about like these petty criminals back in the day, they would get caught because they just kept stealing over and over again for the company. I wonder if there's something like that going on where it's somebody's like, well, I got to make this money. They won't get, and it's like, no, dude, if you're doing anything wrong, this is probably the time to stop right now.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. So that was a good fight that I was looking forward to that got pulled, but the card was still okay.
We had somebody pass out too. I don't remember who that was, but there was someone who passed out on the scale.
Oh, yeah. He's literally made weight, walked off the scale, and face planted. So unfortunately, I can't remember his name. But
I don't know if I was the only one thinking this, but I'm like, yeah, that's what you want on your debut for Paramount. Pass it out.
And he had to be like carried down the stairs. Yeah, he looked like a corpse. Yeah, that wasn't. There's also a video of Michael Bisping. You know, I'm sure. Yeah, you've seen it. He's commentating, like standing right in front of the stage. His back is to the stage, and he's like, "Well, yeah, you got to make weight. That's your job." He's like, "It's really not that hard." As the guy falls on his face, so just funny timing for Bisping. But yeah, that wasn't a good look for Paramount. But
no, not a great start. But overall, this card was pretty good, I thought. I mean, we'll get to it, but what do you think overall? I thought overall it was a good card. Main event definitely made it.
Yeah, the main event being good kind of saved the main card at the end because there's a lot of boringness on the main card, but prelims were pretty good.
Prelims were good.
It was a mid card, I would say.
Mid, I'll go with that.
Yeah, that's what the kids
are 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, I guess I would say I'd get with the main event 6, 5, 7. You know what I mean? Like I thought,
I'd say like a 5 because although the main event was like exciting, it was very sloppy and not super high level, which we'll get to. But
we'll get to it. All right, let's get to these fights. Go ahead.
Yeah, other prelims: Nikita Krylov, he KO'd Modestas Bukauskas. Atiba Gutierrez actually went to decision. He didn't knock a guy out for a change.
Which was the one fight. Everybody's getting knocked out in the prelims, and I'm thinking, there's another one. And it looked like that, but nope.
Yeah. And then Umar Nurmagomedov fought Davison Figueiredo. Davison missed weight too, I think, if I remember correctly. So
Umar did what Umar does, though.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he did what we all knew he was going to do. So let's move on. Main card, though. Arnold Allen versus Jean Silva.
Yeah, I mean, overall, not a bad fight, especially if you on most of these main card fights, I would say. This was probably the third best fight, I thought. Overall, I just thought Silva had better aggression and just more significant strikes. It wasn't like, this was like, I didn't walk away thinking, wow, Jean Silva deserves a title shot or anything after this. But I thought, he did what he had to do to beat Arnold Allen. And I'll let you break it down. But as always, after pay-per-views, I like to kind of think of, opponents for next. And it's an interesting dilemma because Lerone Murphy or Mosavar should probably be next for whoever walks out the winner this weekend. And Silva's only loss is to Diego. So if Diego somehow wins that fight, then I don't think you should fight him. So I know Yair had surgery and he's supposed to be back in 2026. So if the timing is right, I'd like to see Yair. I'd like to see him fight somebody with a name. Yeah, and I think that would be the best fight you could do for Silva. If that's not available, then maybe whoever's not going to get the title shot between Lerone and Mosavar, you could pair them up.
Yeah, Arnold just wasn't active enough to combat the impactfulness of Silva's, shots. When Silva landed on him, it made much more of an effect. It had much more of an effect than when Arnold landed on Silva. So that was really, it was a relatively close fight. But yeah, I would have gave Silva the win as well. So moving on, Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas.
Yeah, not a very fun fight, I thought, overall. I was kind of losing my interest in this one. I felt that Silva, who was, I thought was a better all-around fighter at this point in her career, I thought she did let Rose in the fight a little early on. Like, I don't think Natalia Silva was really necessarily applying the pressure she needed. But overall, I would say that's actually what won her the fight, was that she had better aggression and just had more pressure. Kind of with some of the Silva, more significant strikes, but just not as an exciting fight, which wasn't a high bar to beat. But that being said, Natalia Silva, it's clear. It's another former champion she's beaten. She hasn't lost in UFC yet. So, she deserves the title shot at Valentina. Will she beat Valentina? I don't think so at this point. I like Manon Fiorot's chances, I think, a little better at this point if someone's going to knock out. You don't know. But I just did. Overall, Natalia did enough to win, and she deserves a title shot, but I wasn't super impressed with this.
Yeah, similar fight to the first fight. So Rose kind of just got caught trying to set up too many traps and wait for counters. Like, she just got caught waiting too much. And Natalia just had more output. So, like you said, more aggression. That's basically what won her the fight. Yeah, I am excited for her in Valentina because I do think she's one of the few people that can pose a problem, but that wasn't her top level for sure.
Right.
Moving on, Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Derek Lewis.
We talked about it in the group chat that night, I believe. It was mentioned on commentary. Big difference here. Waldo was just so much faster than Derek. Kind of made me feel sad for Derek because I think the thing with Derek Lewis had a lot of success was he was never technically the best guy. He just had a lot of power. But he was capable of sometimes luring people in, and he's really was good at being deceptive for what he did. But Waldo, because of his speed, and I think Derek Lewis over time, people are more cautious and get better reads on him. And I don't know. Derek's still a fun guy. It's heavyweight. He's probably capable of knocking some people out, but Waldo Cortez definitely showed he was on another level here. I think he called out Curtis Blades. So I know that Josh Hokett, I think it was his name, the guy who did like the wrestling promo earlier tonight, wanted Waldo. Sorry, Josh, if I was Waldo, I'd stay away from you, and I would try to get that Curtis Blades fight. You probably deserve it.
Yeah, like you said, Waldo too fast. I think Derek realized that, and I think he actually went down a little bit early. It has happened to him in other fights where, maybe a shot you don't think would put down Derek Lewis puts him down. He gets touched a few times and he shells up. So unfortunately for him, he looked like that, and then when he was on the ground, he ate a bunch of real hard shots, real hard ground and pound shots. So he looked like he was feeling it afterwards. So I'm down for the Curtis Blades. I think that's a good fight for him. Tough matchup because the grappling, but he's fast. If he lands on Curtis, Curtis will go to sleep too. So co-main event, Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong.
I enjoyed this fight. It was obviously not as good as the main event, but it was my second favorite fight on the main card. Round one, I thought O'Malley won. I think he got taken down at the end of it, so it wasn't a super eventful round. So I know some people thought O'Malley was down 2 rounds going into the third round. The commentator team didn't, but you can see people on Twitter, some of the other fighters thought that O'Malley was down 2. And I was like, I guess that it really depends on how you call that first round, because Song Ladong definitely did enough damage to win round 2. To going into round 3, I thought he had the momentum, but O'Malley really turned it on round 3. And Song Ladong was really wearing the damage too. He had the bloody mouth and everything. And O'Malley just looked hungry, like a guy who wanted that spotlight, who wanted that title fight. Just wasn't able to put away Song Ladong, who is durable and very tough. And yeah, I mean, if you're O'Malley, he said it, he wants that title shot. And he's also, and props to him for saying that if Merab wants it, he deserves it. I noticed nobody's mentioning Umar because nobody probably wants to see Umar get that fight because it's just not the most exciting style. If Sean doesn't get Merab, then you probably, if he doesn't get Jan, then you probably match him up with an Umar or a Corey Sandhagen. Corey would be the fun fight. I just don't know what you do with Umar at this point. He's just gonna keep cut him and send him somewhere else. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I'd like to see Sean actually get the title shot because I like to see that fight with Jan again. But if not, Corey's a great fight too.
Yeah, Song was fast and explosive like we thought. O'Malley, good with the range. His countering, his accuracy when he counters he might be the best. It's so impressive. So he landed that knee on Song and got the blood all over his leg or whatever near the end of the fight. Yeah, it was impressive. So I think he did just enough to win the decision. I thought it was a good decision, and I was glad to see him super happy about winning. Really grateful. That was nice. Feel bad for Song, but yeah, I want to see Corey and Sean next. Main event here, Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett.
What a fun fight. It's funny. I got tired towards the end of the day, and I actually decided to put it on my phone, and I dozed off during the introductions, and I woke up in round 2. I ended up rewatching the whole fight anyway, but round 2, I saw Justin almost finish him, it looked like. And then round 3, Paddy turned it on, and I thought he was going to finish Justin. And then round 4 and 5 was both very exciting. I think Justin, I thought, won both those rounds. But yeah, fun fight. Paddy really showed his toughness. He really did show the guy could take a shot. I heard some question of the game plan. Probably should have gone with more takedowns. I would agree with that. But just based off the takedowns I saw him attempt, I don't think it was going to make much difference. I just thought at this stage of their careers, Justin's just a better fighter. He showed that. I think we thought that kind of going in, but we also believed that there was just something about Paddy. It was his time, and he was going to find a way to make it work. That wasn't the case. I'm not upset about that. I'm glad Justin is going to probably get a title shot, one more title shot before his career end. I'm glad he's got 2 interim belts, a BMF title, and all that stuff to his career because this guy, he's a legend. And just to see him, go out there and get another main event victory, he deserves it. Good luck with Paddy. I'm sure he's going to be back. This guy does not look like he's going to quit. And to me, there's no doubt about it. Justin and Ilya should be next. I can't see what else would happen. Unless Ilya's going to be out for a lot longer, then you could do a fight with Armin and you either make Justin the champ or they fight for a vacant title, however you play that out.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, so I'm just going to add on to that with I think the game plan for Gaethje was what made the difference. I talked last week about how I thought Paddy was going to fight similar to the way he did against Chandler, where he was going to stay at range and kick the legs and land counter shots and stuff. Well, Justin didn't give him that opportunity because he put so much pressure on Paddy. He backed him up to the cage and got inside the range that Paddy wasn't comfortable with. And other than his knees up the middle, Paddy's striking was so ugly. It was so hard to watch. He was throwing these clubbing right hands. I was watching the fights with a buddy of mine who is a boxer, he does boxing, and he was struggling through he was really struggling watching it. But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the takedown thing because I had that in my notes as well. It was clear in the game plan he wanted to strike, And I don't think that was a good idea going into it, obviously. But then when he went for the takedowns, it didn't ever look like he was going to take down Justin Gaethje. So, he's got room for improvement for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as Gaethje, he needs to be another level higher than that. I mean, even, he beat up Patty pretty bad, but that performance is not going to get it done against Ilya. He'll be in big trouble too. So, different fights, different styles and everything, but he would have to be a lot more technical and a lot more defensively sound against Ilya Topuria. So I'm happy for Justin though.
I heard someone say this on another show. I think it was Hawani and he had somebody on his show. I forget who it was, but it was like, does Justin, he beats Patty and he's one of the best in the world, but does he beat Ilya? And he's like, no. Does he beat Arman? It's like, no, and then it's like this Arman or who wins between Arman and Ilya? And they're like, I don't know. And it's like, that's really the two best fighters in this division right now. Could Justin catch anybody? Dude, with that kind of power and, this division being what it is, there's always a chance. But I don't go in there believing that after this performance that Justin has anything more than a puncher's chance with somebody like an Ilya, who's just shown as the best in the world. And it's probably one of the hardest hitters too. So it's not a great puncher's chance at that too.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Let's get on to it. We got another former pay-per-view, we used to call them, but now numbered events, UFC 325. It's kind of cool because we, like you said, I know we got some events coming up that aren't going to be, they're going to be some more Apex style events. So I'm glad that we at least got these two events back to back.
Yeah, this is another 9 p.m. Obviously, these numbered events start at 9 p.m. So again, I don't know what time that is in Australia, but I'm sorry, Australian fans, because it's great for us and probably 3 o'clock in the morning for you or something. So apologies for that. But I'm sure they'll be there showing out because it's Australia and Volkanovski. But prelims, not quite as tasty as last week's card. Jacob Muldoon versus Torres Finney. And Junior Tafa, who I think should have got cut a while ago, is still fighting, but he's fighting Billy Elikana. So I guess I'll watch those ones. But let's get into the main card because I am excited for that. Quillan Salkilld versus Jamie Mullarkey.
Yeah, Salkilld is 10-1, 4 KOs, 3 subs, 3 decisions. Mullarkey's 18-8, 10 KOs, 3 subs, 5 decisions. He's had fight of the night 2 times, Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about Salkilld. I think he's from Australia. I think he's a substitute, and that's why we ended up on this card. Great opportunity for him, but until, I see, some of his fights with tougher competition, I'll go with Jamie Mullarkey here by decision.
Mullarkey really tough, but I don't see him making it to the end of the fight. Quillan got my KO of the year last year when he head kick KO'd Nasrat Haqparast to death. And Nasrat Haqparast beat the shit out of Jamie Mullarkey. So I'm going to go late in round 1 KO for Salkilld.
Okay, Quillan has been off my radar. I forgot about that. I remember that now. I just said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're probably right then.
All right. And Tai Tuivasa versus Tallison Teixeira is our next fight.
Teixeira 8-1, 7 KOs, 1 subs, 1-1 in the UFC. Coming off a performance tonight of Justin Tafa with his victory in the UFC. Tuivasa, probably lucky to still be here when you talk about, being a heavyweight in an Australian card coming up. I like Tai, but on a 5-fight losing streak. The guy's 14-8, 13 KOs, 1 decisions. Performance of the night 4 times. Fight of the night 1 time. I'll go with Teixeira. I'll say he's going to get a KO because he's got a 100% finishing rate with 1 sub, and Tai does not like to stay in there either. So I'll go, and this is no disrespect. I just think they're going to be trading. I'll say Teixeira round 1 TKO.
Yeah, I'm happy Tai is back. He hasn't fought in 18 months, like you mentioned, coming off of 5 straight losses. Tallison's only losses to the Black Beast. But Tai hits pretty hard himself, so I'm probably picking with my heart, but I'm going to go with Tai. I'll say round 2. Yeah. Because he's home in Australia and we get to see him do his shoey. Yep. All right. Probably most excited for this fight. Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Ruffy.
Yeah, these next 3 fights are probably what this card is really all about here. Ruffy is 12-2 out of the Fighting Nerds camp that we love. 11 KOs, 1 decision. He's coming off a loss to Benoit Saint-Denis, but he's had performance of the night twice. Once against Jamie Mullarkey, by the way. Fiziev, 13-4, 8 KOs, 1 sub, 4 decision. Fight of the night 4 times. Performance of the night 3 times. This should be a fun one. We got a high finishing rate here, but 2 very tough guys. I'm going to go Ruffy I'll say round 3 TKO.
Yeah, I expect this one to be very fun. Two strikers that like to throw a lot of flashy kicks. Ruffy has that Connor cardio, and I don't see him KOing Fiziev in the first 10 minutes. So I'm going to pick Fiziev by round 3 TKO when Ruffy gasses out. So look at us. Right? We got some different picks going on. Normally we're right in sync, Yeah. This one could be very fun as well. Dan Hooker, never in a boring fight, versus Benoit Saint-Denis, never in a boring fight.
Yeah, BSD 16-3-1, 5 KOs, 11 subs, 3-fight win streak, 8-3 in the UFC. Performance of the night 4 times, fight of the night twice. Dan Hooker 24-13, 11 KOs, 7 subs, 6 decisions, 3 performance of the nights, fight of the night 2 times. He's won 3 out of his last 4. He is coming off a tough loss to Arman Tsarukyan. I want to say that was only a couple months ago, too, maybe back in November. So this is a quick turnaround for him. One thing I didn't talk about, and we didn't really talk about on UFC 324, is that there's a new, and I just think it's going to come in play here possibly. There is a new thing now where if you get a finish, you're automatically getting an extra $25,000. So it's not even have to be performance of the night or fight of the night, but you're going to get a $25 extra grand for a finish. I feel like that's very motivating for a guy like Dan Hooker. I think he's the kind of guy that's going to try to push that, whether that's a good idea or a bad idea.
I think Dan Hooker just likes to hurt people. I think that's his real motivation.
Yeah, that's probably right. So this should be a fun fight. I think there's going to be a lot of aggression. I wouldn't even be shocked to see this get fighted tonight, honestly. It's going to be that good. God, I hate to go against him, but I'm going to go with Benoit Saint-Denis. I'll say he takes it, and he's, again, another late finish. I'll go round 3 TKO.
Yeah, a couple of absolute warriors in this one, just like the toughest guys. So BSD, a far better grappler than Hooker. But if Gamrot couldn't get a win over Hooker, then I don't think BSD is going to do it. So I think Gamrot's just a better BSD personally. So I'll say Hooker by decision in a war. He's also, at home in Oceania. He's not really Australian. He's from New Zealand, but they're close enough. So
yeah.
Main event here. Yeah. We'll just talk about Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes 2.
Yeah, we've talked about this, right? I didn't feel like Diego really deserved this rematch. It's what the UFC wanted. Diego, though, 27-7, 11 KOs, 12 subs, 4 decisions, performance of the night 3 times, fight of the night 3 times. He is an exciting finisher that always goes for the He's an exciting fighter that always goes for the finish. Volk, a legend, 27-4, 13 KOs, 3 subs, 11 decisions, fight of the night 4 times, performance night once, and, he's just his second time now as featherweight champion. I think he's had 5 successful title defenses. His first reign, he's going for his second now. Volk is the UFC featherweight GOAT. I see no reason why, honestly, he would lose this rematch other than the fact that he is older like he was last time, and just maybe this is the night that's going to catch up to him. It is possible. But overall, if you just look at their last fight, I don't feel like there was enough time in between for the gap to change. I'll take Volk. Man, not going to be like almost silly, but I actually think he'll get the finish too, because with the 5 rounds and everything like that, I think Volk has a history of being actually a good game planner when you think of the Max Holloway fights, and I feel like there's more time to Volk to adjust given his high MMA IQ and his experience level that he'll make the adjustments, and I'll say he'll finish Diego. I'll go another round 3 TKO.
Yeah, we just saw this fight. I haven't seen anything that makes me think it'll go any different, so like you said, if anything, Volkanovski looks better in rematches because he's so great at game planning. So I think it probably still goes to decision, though. So I'll say decision win for Volkanovski, and we can finally put this imposed rivalry to bed.
I agree. All right. Well, guys, that's going to do it here for this show for the regular viewers. Why don't we tell people we got coming up one more time?
February 7th, UFC Fight Night, Bautista versus Oliveira. That's 9 p.m. from the Apex. February 14th, we're not sure what we're doing yet. No fights. And then February 21st, UFC Fight Night, Strickland versus Hernandez, 8 p.m. from Houston.
We appreciate you and hope you enjoy UFC 325 this weekend. And for you Patreon folks, we'll be talking